A small request before starting the video. If you love the channel's topic, then subscribe to the channel now and press the bell icon next to it. Because one of your subscriptions encourages me to make better videos. Legendary 1974 Melbrooks comedy Blazing. Many consider Saddles one of the most beloved and successful Hollywood films ever. It's almost 50 years since its release and yet it remains a Hollywood staple and gains new fans every day. However, did you know there are shocking secrets behind the production of the Western classic that the producers never wanted you to know? Join us as we dive deep into the hidden facts about Hollywood's most chaotic film shoot. From controversial casting choices to writers being at war with the studio, we're uncovering the untold stories that have remained buried for decades. If you're a fan of Blazing Saddles or just love a good Hollywood mystery, you won't want to miss this. Get ready to learn the surprising truths that could change the way you see this iconic film forever. It's surprising that a classic comedy such as Blazing Saddles would be shrouded in significant drama during production. From the main characters to the minor roles, the selection of actors was packed with twists and turns that even the best Hollywood screenwriters couldn't dream of. Did you know that Cleveland Little almost didn't get the chance to portray the legendary Sheriff Bart in the film? Mel Brooks initially wanted Richard Pryor to play the role of Bart. Pryor was a co-writer of the screenplay and was Brooks's first choice. However, the studio Warner Brothers considered Pryor too controversial due to his reputation for provocative stand-up comedy and his issues with drug use. In the end, Cleveland Little, who was a relatively unknown actor at the time, auditioned for the role and impressed the casting team with his acting, securing the role that would catapult him to fame. Little's portrayal of the clever and meticulous black sheriff who takes on the racist town folks of Rock Ridge captivated viewers and quickly became a comedy legend. The surprises don't end there. The Duke himself, John Wayne, turned down the role of the Waco Kid because the script contained a significant amount of provocative humor that didn't align with his conservative persona. Consequently, Wayne decided to take a pass and Brooks replaced him with Gig. Young was selected for the role and even started filming. But he was often drunk and unable to work on set. Gene Wilder, who had collaborated with Mel Brooks on The Producers, was brought in at the last minute and gave an outstanding performance that brought a distinctive energy to the movie. Another controversial casting was that of Melanie Kahn, who played the role of L.Y. Vaughn. The Academy Award-nominated actress was involved in an unusual and somewhat controversial request during her audition. Mel Brooks, known for his unconventional casting methods, asked Kahn to show her legs during the audition process. Kahn was initially hesitant to show her legs to Brooks, but she eventually agreed. After some convincing, Kahn assumed his intentions were less than pure and said, "Oh, you're that kind of guy." Brooks then clarified that this request was driven by the character of Lily Vono, who is a seductive cabaret singer. The character was a spoof of Marlene Dietrich, who often showcased her legs as part of her allure. Understanding the comedic vision advised Brooke to avoid touching, and she was cast as Lily Vaughn. The role of Governor Hedley Lamar was initially offered to Johnny Carson, but he declined due to scheduling conflicts, allowing Harvey Korman to shine. During filming, Burton Gillum, who played Lee, one of Lamar's goons, had an awkward moment during filming. The scene involved black railroad workers led by Cleveland Little's character Bart being ordered to leave. His ability to switch between menacing and bumbling contributed to the film's comedic balance. In Blazing Saddles, William plays Lyle, who demands workers sing a work song and mocks their heritage with racially insensitive remarks. This scene, among others, aims to mock racism through harsh and offensive language. However, the actors had to balance their delivery to emphasize the film's satirical point. During interviews, Burton Gilliam indicated concern with the insulting language in the sequence. Gilliam and Cleveland had limited discussions about the moment before production began, without much encouragement. Guile to stick to the script to preserve the film's strong critique of racism. Their shared understanding and professional relationship were key in making the scene authentic while ensuring the satire was impactful. This partnership and the respect shared between Gilliam and Little were instrumental in making sure the film's critical stance on racism was effectively communicated throughout Hollywood history. Only a handful of directors have dared to be as bold as Mel Brooks, and this was particularly clear in the case of Blazing Saddles. From the start, Brooks was aware that he was embarking on a project that would stir controversy, but he had no idea just how much opposition he would encounter from the executives at Warner Brothers. The production of Blazing Saddles was marked by numerous disputes between Mel Brooks and the Warner Brothers studio, stemming from tensions over creative control, content, and The boundaries of comedy. The Warner Brothers studio was wary of the film's bold and controversial content. Blazing Saddles addressed topics like racism, bias, and societal standards with a degree of frankness and sarcasm that was rare in 1970s Hollywood. The studio executives were particularly concerned about the use of racial slurs and the film's explicit satire of racism. Brooks had to fight to retain the integrity of his script and vision, often clashing with the studio over what content would make it into the final cut. Brooks's unique and often unconventional comedic style was a point of contention. The Warner Brothers executives were skeptical about some of his more extreme ideas, including the film's meta-humor, breaking the fourth wall, and the outrageous ending where the characters break out of the film set and invade other productions on the studio property. Brooks had to convince the studio to allow these creative risks, which ultimately became some of the most memorable aspects of the film. One of the most significant disagreements was over the film's ending. The original script ended with a massive pie fight that spills out of the Western set and into other parts of the studio. The absurdity and meta nature of this ending were initially met with skepticism by the studio executives, who feared that it might turn off viewers. Despite this, Brooks fought to keep the ending, believing it was essential to the film's anarchic spirit. In the end, his vision prevailed, and the ending is now seen as a classic example of Brooks's inventive comedic style. Warner Brothers was hesitant to market Blazing Saddles due to its controversial content and satire. Brooks emphasized the film's comedic value and social commentary, demonstrating his skill as a negotiator and understanding of Hollywood's complexities. Despite lengthy conflicts and conversations, integrity remained intact. The studio approved Blazing Saddles, despite initial reservations, and released it. The film's popularity demonstrated that viewers were ready for its daring humor and satire. Through tenacity and vision, Brooks created a comedy classic that is recognized for its bold and innovative approach. Frankie Laine, who sung the Blazing theme song. After Mel Brooks decided to create a theme song for Blazing Saddles, joined the project without knowing what to expect. Frankie Laine, a renowned vocalist recognized for his powerful voice and dramatic singing, was chosen to evoke the grandeur of classic westerns. Brooks used western ballads like Rawhide and High Noon to match the epic, serious tone of the song. He kept Laine in the dark about the film's true nature, allowing him to sing the song with sincerity without knowing it was a satire. Brooks believed that Laine's earnest delivery would enhance the film's satire. Laine tackled the theme tune with the same seriousness and emotional depth as his previous work. Unlike his other Western ballads, the lyrics of the song about bravery, hardship, and the rugged Western landscape were performed with heartfelt sincerity. The film's satirical content contrasted with the theme song, creating a perfect comedy effect. The studio was convinced that the film's appeal could be carried over to the small screen, drawing in audiences with its well-known characters and comedic approach. However, translating the irreverent and boundary-pushing humor of Blazing Saddles to a TV format posed significant challenges. Network television in the 1970s had strict content guidelines and censorship rules, which would have made it difficult to maintain the film's edgy and provocative humor. The film's frequent use of racial and ethnic satire, while effective in a cinematic context, was likely to face significant pushback from television censors. Despite these challenges, a pilot episode was produced for a proposed TV series titled Black Bart. Louis Gossett Jr. was chosen to play the role of the Black Sheriff Bart, a part similar to Cleveland Little in the film. The pilot was designed to capture the same essence of satire and comedy that made the film a success. However, it struggled to find the right balance between retaining the film's daring humor and adhering to TV standards. The pilot episode of Black Bart was met with mixed reactions. While some admired the effort to bring the film's humor to television, others felt that the limitations of network TV watered down the sharpness and impact of the original content. The hum that was effective in the movie did not fully translate to the more restrictive world of television. In the end, the challenges were too great. The network and producers chose not to proceed with the series. After the pilot was rejected, Mel Brooks and his team of 5 writers settled in a 6th-floor office on 5th Avenue in New York City to create the picture. The crew included Mel Brooks and Norman Steinberg. Andrew Bergman, Richard Pryor, and Alan Ugger spent countless hours perfecting the script into what we know it as today. Each writer brought their unique voice and sense of humor to the project, contributing to the film's sharp social commentary. Shockingly, only Mel Brooks was compensated for his work. He walked away from the film with $50,000 for his writing, while everyone else left empty-handed. This decision was driven by the studio's policies and the contractual arrangements in place. Brooks, as the director and a major creative force behind the film, was in a strong position to negotiate his compensation. The other writers, Bergman, Pryor, Steinberg and Ugger, did not receive direct payment for their contributions to the script. This situation was not uncommon in Hollywood, where screenwriting credits and compensation often led to disputes and controversies. Writers frequently worked on projects without guaranteed payment, hoping that their contributions would be recognized and rewarded in other ways, such as through credit or future opportunities. Despite not being paid, the writers' contributions were acknowledged in the film's credits. Andrew Bergman, a successful screenwriter and director, worked on films like The In-Laws, while Fletch Richard, a popular comedian, gained fame from Blazing Saddles. Despite not receiving financial compensation, the title of the film changed several times. Bart, named after the main character, the black sheriff portrayed by Cleveland Little. This title was simple and emphasized the protagonist and his role in the narrative, yet it didn't fully capture the comedic and satirical aspects of the film, and it was considered dull and uninspiring. At one point the film was tentatively titled The Purple Sage, which was a nod to the classic Western novel Riders of the Purple Sage by Zane Grey. Although this title had a link to the Western genre, it missed the punch and humor that Mel Brooks was aiming for. It also didn't set the movie apart from other serious westerns. Another proposed title was The Texas Cowpoke. While this name hinted at the western setting and cowboy themes, it didn't fully capture the film's compelling humor. It sounded more like a typical western, which could lead viewers to underestimate the film's true nature. The final title, Blazing Saddles, was chosen for its humorous connotations. Blazing suggested action, excitement and intensity, while Saddles clearly referenced the Western genre. Together the words created a dynamic and memorable title that hinted at both the film's genre and its comedic tone. The budget for Blazing Saddles was relatively modest, especially considering it was a major studio film produced by Warner Brothers. The initial budget was set at around $2.6 million, counting inflation that comes out to about $10 million. Today that may seem like a lot to the naked eye until you learn that most westerns cost anywhere between $50 million and $100 million. The limited budget meant that Brooks and his team had to make cost-effective decisions in various aspects of production, from casting to set design. These financial constraints often led to creative solutions that contributed to the film's unique style and humor. While some of the actors like Gone Wilder and Clean Little were established names, others were relatively unknown or up-and-coming talents. This mix helped keep casting costs down. Additionally, Brooks himself played multiple roles, including the governor and an Indian chief, further saving on casting expenses. Mel Brooks's directorial skills and ability to make quick decisions kept Blazing Saddles on schedule and within budget, despite its small budget. The film grossed over $1,119 million and involved multiple writers during the intense creative process. Max Brooks was dedicated to his family and son's well-being while also passionately engaged in the writing process. Brooks became a prolific writer, noted for his work in horror and zombie genres, including World War Z. His creative environment and father's work inspired his career and storytelling approach.